There are a lot of web app vulnerabilities. And when I say web apps, I'm talking about browser-based applications, primarily built with JavaScript, maybe some other languages if there's a WASM backend, and a mix of HTML. Now, one of the, I would say, largest web app vulnerabilities that attackers or pen testers will utilize are XSS or cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. And XSS, I mean, there's a lot. If you look at the security headers that you can put into an application to make it secure, like there are a lot of different options to kind of block from XSS issues. And a lot of hosting providers are protecting against XSS by default, but still the vulnerabilities are out there. There was a report from 2019 that stated 2/3 of websites have cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. Now, what can we do aside from pen testing to see what vulnerabilities are there, putting in best practices, etc.? What can we do? Well, there's something called a WAF, or a Web Application Firewall, and a WAF helps protect against these threats. So it filters and monitors HTTP traffic between your web applications and the internet. And it has a lot of things that we can do. So for example, it protects against XSS, SQL injection, and a couple of other things. Pretty much all of the higher, bigger vulnerabilities in a web application, WAF will help with. And there are a bunch of different ways to implement WAF, but I want to show you a quick way that's pretty straightforward. And if you don't have an AWS account, you can sign up for free. You can get the free credits. I think it's like 30 days or 200 credits or something like that, and you can kind of test this out. From a web app perspective, one of the services that AWS provides is something called CloudFront, and it's pretty much a distribution. So the way that it works is kind of like a CDN in the sense that it will cache servers with your web application. So just as an example, what do I mean by that? If I have, two distributions, I have maybe one in the UK and one in the US. Well, my UK customers should of course hit the UK server, and my US customers should of course hit the US server. That'll help from a bandwidth perspective, network latencies, better performance, all that good stuff. But again, by default, this is not secure. So what you can do is you can choose the origin domain, the path, which is optional, the name, you can create some custom headers, you can enable the shield, and then the caching behavior. So for example, redirecting HTTP to HTTPS, HTTP and HTTPS, just HTTPS only, the various methods available, restricting access, and then any key origin stuff in here. But if we go down to the Web Application Firewall section, you can see that you can enable security protections and you can select do not enable security protections. So if I just go to one that I already have, for example, okay, and I go to security here, I should be able to edit. And then from here, I can turn on Web Application Firewall. And I have user monitor mode, count how many of your requests would be blocked by this WAF configuration. When ready, you can disable monitor mode to begin blocking requests. What does this mean? This is pretty much like dev mode, right? So it's just gonna give you a log of, okay, these are the things that would be blocked. Included security protections, so protect against the most common vulnerabilities found in web applications like XSS, for example. Protect against malicious actors discovering application vulnerabilities. So if you got a vulnerability in your JS code, hopefully this will kind of stop malicious actors until you can figure out how to fix it. And then you can also block IP addresses. So if I click on the estimation, we can see this AWS WAF configuration is estimated to cost $14 for 10 million requests per month. And that's actually not bad. So, you're of course going to want to understand, okay, how many requests am I getting per month? You can of course add to this and it's going to up the cost. Or, I mean, you could even decrease it, right? So you're going to get 10 requests per month. It's going to be $8. And then you click save here. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward to implement WAF. Now, again, I'm in a cloud-based environment, so depending on the other clouds, it might be a little bit different. Depending on if you're using a cloud-based environment or not, it's going to be, of course, different. But from an AWS perspective, you just want to learn how to enable it. This is how you can get started.